Well, good evening once again. Welcome to another episode of Step Up, Make a Difference, the podcast. I'm Mike Peacock, and there on your screen is my partner in crime, Marty Durden, my good friend of a long time. And Marty, hope you have had a great week. I have. I just went off camera. We were talking about the fact that I've been in Statesboro the last 3 days, calling a bunch of high school baseball. We crowned 4 state champions, and we had a good time calling games over there for the GIAA on GIAA.tv. And congratulations to Citizens Christian. Let's see, who else was it?
They won baseball, right?
Valwood.
They won baseball, right?
Yep. Citizens Christian, Valwood, FPD, and there's one I'm leaving out. I'm leaving out the 2A division, I believe, and I got to remember who that was. All of them were sweeps.
I was just telling Coach Johnson, our guest today, how the GIAA has really grown and prospered in these last 3 or 4 years, getting a lot more notoriety, more press. It looks like they're fielding stronger teams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing that the Georgia-Florida Sports Network has helped in that regard. Now, I'm telling you, I said Georgia-Florida.
Yeah, Georgia,
Alabama Sports Network, please forgive me. Georgia-Alabama Sports Network has grown exponentially as well. And gosh, I'm just honored to be a small part of what Georgia Florida is doing. Our viewership has grown. It's just, everything is really blossoming. And I appreciate Richard Holdridge and Thrift Behringer for what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate Richard. Richard and Thrift were over there in Statesboro, as well as several of our other producers and talent. Paxton Holloway was with me on a couple of classifications broadcasts, and Richard was with Thrift on the 2A. And I remember that Heritage, it was Gatewood. Gatewood won the 2A. I knew I'd think of it, and I think that was their third in a row, as a matter of fact. So it was Citizens Christian won 1A, Gatewood won 2A, and Valwood won 3A in a thrilling game. And then FPD was the dominant team. First Presbyterian Day out of Macon was the dominant team, and they could play with anybody in the state in any classification. And they won the 4A division. But you were talking, Marty, how the talent has grown in GIAA, and it is amazing. They're on that FPD team. They've probably got 5 or 6 kids who will go to Division I schools to play, and a couple of those will get drafted. We don't know how high they're going to get drafted, but a couple of them will be major league draft picks, and we'll see if they decide to go play pro baseball or if they decide to go on to college. But they were definitely the dominant team in 4A. Stratford gave them, good competition, but in the end, FPD was senior laden. They had 12 seniors on a baseball team, if you can imagine. And they were experienced. This was their third straight trip to the finals. They lost to Brookstone the last 2 years. And this year they made it. And with that senior laden team, they were they were determined they were going to win it, and they did. And look who's joined us here on the screen, Coach Leon Johnson. This is kind of take 2 for us. We were going to try to get this one recorded last week, and we had all sorts of problems with the weather and with internet service and all that kind of stuff. And so we're bringing Coach Johnson back this week, and we're so glad he's able to join us again. And Marty, tell us a little bit about you and Coach Johnson go way back. So tell us a little bit of that story as we lead in and get Coach Johnson on here.
We coached together down at what was Tri-County, Marion County now. And I'm just so honored. I was blessed that our paths crossed, because just in a matter of hours, I realized I'm going to be working with a guy who is a magician in basketball. And beyond that, he's one heck of a human being. And we just hit it off. We blended together. We worked together. I mean, those were great days. And I learned so much from Coach Johnson, and made me a lot better person, not just a better coach. And man, we came this close to winning it. And we took a team that was not all that good and turned them into a doggone good team, didn't we, Coach?
Yes, we did, sir. If it wasn't for one player, we might have went on to the state that year.
That's right. That's right. But that's where we know each other, and we remain friends. And we always will be till the day we die.
Always.
I love Coach Leon Johnson. He means a lot to me.
So do you to me, Marty.
One time we were a lot better shape then than we are now, and we went into a gym one night, and we had just shaved our heads. Coach Johnson, I know you'll probably remember this. We just shaved our heads, and we were pretty much decked out and looking pretty good. And as we walked up through the crowd that evening, we heard somebody say it. They kind of whispered, "Is that a tag team or wrestling team?" You remember that, Coach?
Yeah, because we just done that. Oh, man.
The thing I always admired about you, Coach, is how much respect you gathered from the players. And, you know, there's a lot of young coaches out there listening to us right now. And a lot of our players back in those days will be listening to this too. What do you think the secret is? What would you tell a young coach? How do you get the respect of the players?
You got to build that personal relationship. Personal relationship means a whole lot. You got to know these kids from inside out, not only about basketball, their home life, and all of that involves that personal relationship. You got to build relationships with these kids. That's the only way you're going to be successful with it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and the thing is, and when you guys bond, that comes together as, you know, everybody's on the same page. And I'm talking about from classroom to court to off the court.
Yeah. Yeah. And that team we had, there was a culture there of hard work, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, you know, that old saying where if you do well with the kid and you got him on your side, guess what? He'll run through a wall for you. And I guarantee you, those kids we had, they would try it. They would attempt to run through a wall for us if we asked them to.
We definitely, I definitely agree with you. And we had some wins there that, you know, people counted us out, and those kids just didn't buy into that. And they to this day still hold you in such high regard. I know you have Facebook on with them. I see you guys on there, and they Facebook me, and it's gratifying to me that is the way it is, and how well they've turned out as young men.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, you know, and I talked to a good number of them today, Marty. You know, even when I see a little guys on Facebook about this and that and the other, I say, oh, yeah, okay. I hit them a little note back and say, well, I see you. You know, I'm thinking about you. and they hit me back, Coach. I appreciate it. They'll do something good. And guess who moved back home? I know you heard about it already, haven't you? Keon Battle.
How about that?
He's gonna be assistant principal at Marion High School. I mean, is it Marion now? Yeah, Marion High School now.
Wow.
I was hoping he'd go get into coaching.
Well, he's one more sharp human being, isn't he?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Something else.
Yes, sir. And we still talk today.
Wow. I was looking at Ralph Blue yesterday on he's doing a workout, He was
every day.
man, and he looks so fit, don't he?
Yes,
I mean,
he does. Yes, he does. That's every day.
Do you remember, for the people that are listening out there don't know what we're talking about, we played America's, I believe it was about a Christmas tournament one year in America's. Do you remember that dunk he made?
5'8", and can get up just about over the backboard if you let him.
Yes. He stole, if I remember it right, he stole the ball. We were down 1 with a few seconds left, and he stole one and was taking it to the hole. And the really big guy from Americas, there were these twins.
Yes.
They were like 6'8". And he went up over that guy and dunked that thing at the buzzer, and that put us up 1.
1 point, yes, sir.
And we went on to beat them that game, and then later on that year, we really put one on them.
Yes, sir. I think they were a little afraid of us then.
Yeah, they were. But that was just hard work. And those kids, we used to go all over the place. Remember those trips to Milledgeville?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. We got down there with Lunsford and down at camps and stuff. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'd go over there on Saturdays and spend the whole day playing basketball and bring those boys home at night. And we were all whipped, and they'd get up on Monday, they'd want more.
Mm-hmm.
Want more. Do you think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mark.
Do you think that in the world today there is a need, in young men especially, there's so many homes that don't have a male figure, a father figure. Do you think coaches fill that role?
I think they fill that void, Marty. I was one of those guys that didn't have a father at home. And my coach, Jerome Ballard and BJ Moss, they filled that void for me. And, that's what they did for me. And I was telling the story about me and Jerome Ballard, who was my football coach and ended up being the basketball coach because we didn't have one at the time. And I was taking algebra from him. And I was not great in math. But he told me, look, man, there's a difference between football and this classroom. This classroom, you're getting your work. Football, totally different. Now there, it's nothing to work. All you got to do is work hard. But this classroom, you got to do the same thing, but you got to understand what you're doing. Well, I told her, I said, well, look, man, I ain't that good, but I'll do my best. But I ended up failing the class. But he took me aside and said, well, that's not the end now. That's not the end. You can still go further. But you got to, work at getting better in the classroom. And I did. And I think BJ Moss, he got me into Reinhardt Junior College. And, I thank both of those guys because they thought the world of me to do that. And then, like I said, they were like a father figure to me. And I got showered last night at, I told you, I finally got, I made that final step of retiring Friday. And they gave me not a surprise retirement dinner, but I kind of knew about it. And they had me a retirement dinner. And man, at that retirement dinner, oh my goodness. I'm telling you what, they showered me so much love, man, and appreciative of what I've done in the last 9 years at this particular school system. And I felt so good. But at the same time, you know, one thing about that, God put people in your life that will
Yeah.
help along the way. Sometimes, you know, we think doors close, but guess who opened that other door? You know, and when you open that door, look at who he put all in my path, man. All these folks, and we got along fine. And they always say about me when I'm in the building, I'm the friendliest person in the building. When I see a person, I don't call them by their name. I say, "Hey, sis, how you doing? Hey, bro, you all right?" You know, and that's me. You know, and that's with everybody. Even now today, that's what I do. But back to the original question is that is part. I think these young men, these young coaches, though, they need to understand that, and some of them don't
Yeah.
understand how important they are in these kids' lives, and especially if they don't have a father in the home.
Mhm. I think you hit the nail on the head, Coach. I mean, I think that there's a quarter of the kids, and the numbers growing in the whole country, who don't have a father. And I just feel like we end up being that, and we fall in love with those kids,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, and we're coaching them not just for a game, we're coaching them for eternity, really.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
I was in Texas, and we had a point guard named, um, you know what story? I'm getting a little choked up here. Remember Dexter,
Yes.
our point guard, and man, he was jam up great guy. And we were sitting in a meeting, and my phone, my cell phone vibrated, and I looked down, and I saw Dexter just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And the night before, Dexter texted me, and you know how it was always funny. He was always saying funny
Yes,
things.
sir.
And he said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I couldn't believe it. I walked out in the hall and I cried like a baby because, you know, you go back and you think about all those moments you had with those kids,
Mm-hmm.
and you're coaching them for something a lot bigger
Yes, sir.
than a game.
I always tell these guys in the long run, and I repeat it time and time again, that what I want you to do and what we're trying to do is get you ready to be a great citizen. Make sure that you can take care of your family and be a productive citizen. You
Yeah.
know, when you leave us, that's what we were trying to prepare you for. Basketball is just a tool to try to get you there. You know, and it's left up to you. We're gonna put it in your plate, and it's up to you to resolve it and get it and move on and be a productive citizen. You know, think about that Dexter thing. Guess who called me about it?
Who?
Larry Bryant.
Well,
Yeah,
Larry Bryant.
yeah. He called me, and it took so long to tell me what was going on. He says, "Coach, I got some bad news for you." I said, "What is it, Larry?" I said, "Well, what's going on?" He said, "Coach, I got some bad news." I said, "Well, Larry, what is the bad news?" He says, "Coach, we lost Dexter." I said, "What do you mean you lost Dexter?" "Well, Coach, him and his brother was out back. Either they were playing or they were fighting. They fell to the ground. He hit his head, got up. And now this is what got me. He got up, walked in the house. When he walked in the house, he fell dead. And man, when Larry said that, Doc, I just couldn't take it. I mean, you know, that kid and I was really, really close.
Mm.
And probably better than any other kid I've ever coached. And I've coached some good ones. But he was a piece of cake.
Yeah, he was something else.
When we lost him, because he came and helped me with a couple camps here in South Carolina when I moved back home.
Oh,
Yeah, he stayed with me and finally ended up calling me Pop. Pop, what's this?
now
This.
see there,
I'm
that
saying,
proves our point right there.
I mean, he was a good kid, but coming up, like we said, didn't have a father in the home. Got into some everything, but it just took somebody to give him some guidance on life itself.
Yep.
Show him
Right.
what's the difference between right and wrong, which I know he knew the difference between right and wrong, but there's even today, man, there's so much stuff out here for these kids that's attracting them to all this other stuff. It's unreal.
Yeah.
And right now, because of that, with our young ladies that we're coaching, I'm helping my former coach. My former player, coach the girls. He's the head coach here, and I'm helping him. But man, we've had workouts since April. We've had 2 kids to show up since April. There's so much out there for them to get into. Not that they're doing anything bad, but all this other stuff they see.
Yeah.
That takes their attention. And right now, month of June is basketball for high school players.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see how many show up tomorrow. But hopefully we're going to get a good number so we can get started. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't know how much longer I can sit on his bench. Our first ball game last year, we got beat 97-20. Yeah, that I can't deal with that. Deal with that. And the second game wasn't that much better. But I told him I'm trying to help him turn it around, and that's what we're gonna try to do. And again about that subject, all these kids, even the young ladies, need somebody in their life to guide them. Man, there's so much out there, And
I think of Marcus Rogers so many times. What a great kid Marcus is. And we still have a good relationship. He's a good businessman now. He's doing awful.
yes.
Beautiful
own his
daughter.
own business.
Yeah, just those kids right there, they turned out really well.
Sir.
I'm
And
really
got his
proud of
brother
that group.
got his brother working for him. Who's
Yeah.
that, Charlie? Yeah, got Jolly working for him. Now that surprised me.
How about that?
Yeah.
And he was a good. Let's just say this: Jolly had a few marks against him in life,
Yes,
And
sir.
in fact, his brother embraced him and took him under his wing and forgave him maybe of some things, and he's turned into a great guy himself.
Yes, sir.
So it just proves right there that when you care about somebody, but you're not going to be easy on that person, you're helping them.
Yes, sir. And with that particular kid you're talking about,
Yeah.
could have, if I'm not mistaken, could have played Division I ball.
Yeah.
Because for yourself, he could shoot the lights out of that thing.
He was a deep shooter, like,
Yes, sir.
wow.
Mhm.
Best in South Georgia, I thought.
Yes, sir. You can shoot it.
Yeah, he was, and he's a good guy, just a great guy. Well, Mike, you're being mighty quiet over there, man.
Hey, I'm taking it all in and listening here. I love to hear you guys talk. But Coach, you said something a few minutes ago about there being so much out there for kids now, and you've been doing this. I think we talked about it over 40 years, 43 years, 43 years.
So it's official. I retired Friday.
Yep. And what have you seen? What has changed in 43 years other than, it's obvious technology's changed and different things like that. But, you hear people say all the time that kids are different than they used to be. Is that really true? Or is it something else that has happened that has caused a shift?
I think there's so much out here, the technology, I just can't put my finger on it, but it's like I said, it's just so much out there that these kids get attracted to that, you know, and well, you take the boys, the girls, relationships, you take what else is it? Jobs. You know, kids didn't have to work back then them days like that. But see, parents now, they say, well, you know, you got to help me out. You got to do this. You got to do that. And it comes to, well, they're going to give up being the practice when they're supposed to, or come out for the team and then all of a sudden got to leave because they got to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the, you know, this, oh, I can keep naming stuff, you know, like I said, you know, you got the TikTok stuff. I mean, you know, you got so much stuff out there these kids are into.
Too many options. They have too many options.
That's the word I was looking for. There's too many options out there.
Yeah, and we used to. I mean, we were Little Buena Vista, Georgia. We're pretty much the only game in town, and those guys. I don't remember anybody. I'll be out. You correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we ever had to get on anybody from this practice.
No, no. And you know what? When I interview for a job, before I even interview for that job, I'll drive to that town. I'll ride around town, and what I'm looking for is kids that's outside playing basketball at parks. And if they ain't outside playing basketball at parks, well, it's for me. That's not for me. Yeah. I'll say, you can take my name out of the hat. I'm not coming. But when I went to Buena Vista and some of the other jobs, Buena Vista had that park over there by that graveyard.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's packed every day. And I sat out there and watched. And I'm telling you, there were some ball players that came through there too now.
Yes, sir.
And that's where I found them at.
Yeah. And you know, you scooped up pretty much every available talent. There weren't many guys walking around.
There wasn't many left, except for the ones that smoked and did all that other stuff we just didn't need.
Coach, I want you to tell the story of Andre Taylor.
Andre Taylor right now is head coach at Central High School. Andre came aboard on with us. And Coach, I'm trying to remember, did he didn't play for us, did he? No, he didn't play for us.
He played one when well, you remember we cut him.
Oh, we cut him.
And he came back to practice the next day. And you told me, you said, hey, you might need to talk to Andre. You might need to go talk to Andre. And I said, Andre, did you look at that list? He said, Coach, I just want to be around. I want to be around you guys. I want to help. And you know, me and you both said, okay.
Yeah.
And he played, I think at the end of that year, when he's his junior year, we got the flu. Everybody got the flu. And we had like 7 players left, and you dressed him out. And doggone if I think he scored like 12 points that night.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm getting that age.
Anyway, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I get that senioritis, but I can't remember some things.
we both got it.
Yes, sir. But then after that was his junior year, correct?
Right, that junior year.
And that next year, I don't think he played, but he became a manager.
That's right.
Kept great stats, and in practice, he'd be giving instructions. So, you know, he was a great help.
He was.
He learned a great deal from the both of us and went on to college. And from there, left us and went to Macon, Georgia, and became the head coach of Central High School. Mm-hmm. And when I heard that, I flipped.
Yep.
Because I could not believe it. This kid came aboard, played his junior year some, didn't play his senior year, but became a manager. And probably an assistant. Well, he was assistant coach for a while, coach.
Yeah.
He was assistant coach for a while.
Yeah. He was assistant coach. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think you called him a student coach.
Yes, sir. And he did a super job for us.
He gobbled up everything that we had to offer. And if I'm right, he's been the coach of the year in the state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He's their athletic director now.
Is he? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He learned quick. And he learns quick now.
Yeah, our group, Georgia Alabama Sports Live, we have Middle Georgia Sports Live, and that's part of our group. And Thrift went over and I believe did an interview with him, Marty, and he called you out in that, and said, how influential you and I believe Coach Johnson had been in his life, and talking about that, and I think I texted you or called you and told you about that. And that and we talked about the fact that we need to have him on this podcast.
We do.
Let him tell his story. And but that's pretty cool. That number one, you cut him, and then he showed back up the next day. That says a lot about you two guys right there. That because a lot of kids would have been howling mad if they got cut, and they would have never walked back in the gym. But he showed back up and wanted to be around it, wanted to be a part of it. And, that says a lot about him, but it says a lot about the environment you two guys created as well.
And it wasn't like he was a bad athlete either. The kid was a great athlete. We had some good players.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. But I'm in agreement though with Marty, though. He just wanted to be around. And he found a way to get there too, and that was the way. And he stuck around and became a manager, and then ended up being a coach for us. And I think he helped Crime some, didn't he? Assistant coach.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I think about B.J. Porter, Antoine King, and Andre. I see those three used to hang out together all the time, and they were. Like the mad trio around there. It's three of the best kids you'll ever see. Worked, honest, great, and look how they've turned out to be adults. Just good humans.
And I think a common theme, guys, that y'all are talking about, and Marty, we've talked about this with several people, but you guys and Coach, you've done it your whole career. Marty, you've done it your whole career. And you believe in this, and it's so important, is you developed a trust with those players. And they trusted you guys.
Yes,
they knew that you guys had their back, and they've never forgotten it. Y'all been talking about so many players that you still talk to, and what's going on with them, but those guys have never forgotten that, and that's what is so important. That I think in some places and in some ways, a lot of people who are in the profession of coaching now haven't quite grasped hold of the fact that they need to build that trust with those players and build a relationship with those players. Marty, we've used how many hundreds of times have we said the word relationships in this podcast? And you guys did that and did it the right way. When I was coming up, it wasn't a great idea to be buddies with players, and it's still not. They don't need a buddy, but they do need a friend. Right. And they do need a mentor, and they do need somebody that has their back and they can trust. And y'all talked about the fact that you step into the role a lot of times as a father, sometimes a second father, and sometimes you might be the only father influence that they have. And Coach, you mentioned your own situation growing up, that your coaches stepped into that role and stood in that gap. And, as our podcast is titled Step Up, you were willing to step up. But how have you guys, and Coach, I'll let you talk. Coach, how do you go about building that trust with those players and getting that buy-in where they they buy into what you're saying.
Well, you first start off by having a conversation with these kids. And in the conversations, you want to be honest with them when you're talking to them and letting them know how you feel about them, whether it's their home life, whether it's playing on this court, or whether outside that, off the court and in their classroom. You show these kids the concern that you have for them, then that's easy for them to trust you the more you show of that. And I think that's a big part of what these young coaches need to grasp in order for them to be, how would you say it, not father figures, but getting these kids to trust them, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a big part of it. And I look back on when you just said about even a father that being a father to a kid that already has a father, and that's Ralph Blue.
Yes, sir.
He was talking about Duncan. Now that guy's father and I, we're like brothers, but he'll tell you himself, the father will tell you himself, you his second daddy, because he listened to you before he listened to me. But I mean, that's not what I was looking for, but he felt that's the way it was, because not the Ralph would go out and do something bad that he wouldn't listen to him. But he said, that's the atmosphere that you guys have invented for these kids, because they'll do just about anything for you guys, because that's what you built with these guys. We built that trust in them. And that's what it takes. Being personal with them, finding out about their home life, discussing their home life. Ain't a kid that ever walked through my gym, when they leave practice or when they come into practice, I ask, how you doing today, man? How's things at home? Everything good? How's the work? How's the classroom going? You doing good? Off the court. Well, hey, what you doing tonight? Better get home early. And when the kids start seeing that I come out of you, what you think they're going to do? They're going to have a little bit more trust in you.
Right.
You'll have a little bit more trust in you.
And
the more that you show, the more trust you get.
That's right. That's right. I remember one time we had a mother. She had a great player for us, Eric Gardner.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's another one.
And she said, I'm having trouble. Y'all need to help me. And we went to that house. And Leon had a talk with that young man. And I'm telling you, he did a 180 in his life. And I won't go into all the details because we're on the air here. But let me tell you, it was a come to Jesus moment with a man he trusted. He trusted Coach Johnson. And he was able to get through him when nobody else could.
Right. And we lost that young man.
And we lost him. And he died. He drowned trying, and Eric could not swim.
Well,
and he was trying to save one of his friends.
Was that Bobby?
From drowning.
Was that Bobby? He was trying to save Bobby, wasn't he?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of man he was. He went down, gave his life to try to help somebody else.
Yeah. But he ended up turning out to be a good kid, though, after we had that little talk with Mom and talk with him. Turned out to be a good kid. And see, that's another thing, Mike, is that when you enter that home and parents see the type of person you are and you care about that kid, then I guarantee you when you leave that house, Mom and that son had a great talk about, if this man cared that much about you, then I think you need to change your life. You need to turn around and you need to do something. If you watch the movie, what's the name of it? Samuel Jackson played in it.
Coach Carter.
Carter.
And you remember the mom that came in the store and bought that kid? after he done said he wasn't gonna do something. And when they got ready to leave, his mom said, "Well, I tell you what, you'll listen to him the next time because I tell you, you will not do this again because you know what's gonna happen." But see, that's the tide that turns once a coach show that much interest in a kid. Then mom will maybe talk to dad, and dad may come in the picture too. But they're gonna get their kid's mind right to try to do the right thing. And that's what we have to sometimes do. Step in there and kind of set that tone where, you know, you guys are gonna have to talk about this and get it straightened out because, you know, he could become a better person if that happens.
You know, Coach, you mentioned that movie, Coach Carter. Just this morning, I was sitting at the table and I had read some devotionals and stuff before we went to church, and I was scrolling through and it came on a clip of that movie. Somebody had posted it and said, "Man, this scene right here, this quote in this movie hit me right in the face when I saw it," and they had reposted it. But you know, during that movie, the players would walk by him, Coach Carter, and he'd say, "What's your greatest fear?"
Yeah, right.
And all of them kept, they said, "He asked you that too? What's he asking us that for? What's he asking us?" And then he fast forwarded it, and the young Hispanic looking player that he had recited from line 1 about what is your greatest fear. He recited the whole quote.
Oh, right.
And at the end of it, he said, "Coach, I just want to say thank you." And
Yeah.
that was a powerful scene in that movie. But that kid went and figured out what he was talking about and what he was asking and where he was going with that. And, you know, when you have reached a kid when they will go and find out what you're asking. If you pose a question like that, if they they care about it when they go and find out what that was. And I just thought that was a powerful scene in that movie, and it made me think about what we do with this podcast and how we talk about relationships with kids and things like that. And I just thought, I said, man, that was strong in that scene.
Yeah, and another powerful scene is when his cousin got all shot up. And he went to Samuel's and went to the guy's house. Where else was he gonna go? Where else was he gonna go? That coach done put something in him.
Yep.
A little trust anyway. Who else he was gonna trust?
Yep.
Him. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what happens, man. And
I'll give you an interesting side note. When I was working at Columbus State, I actually met Coach Carter.
Okay.
He came down and he spoke at an event, but he also came in our gym and he did a little intervention for a TV show, and they filmed it in our gym. But there was a young man who was 15 years old, and his mother was having all sorts of issues with him.
Right.
And she had written Coach Carter a letter, and she said he keeps saying that he don't care nothing about school. He's getting in trouble. But all he keeps saying is he's going to make millions of dollars playing basketball, and he ain't got nothing to worry about. And so she wrote him that letter. And so I want to say it was one of the court shows like Judge Joe Jackson or something like that.
Okay.
They did it as part of that, and they filmed this thing. They brought him down. They treated him like royalty. They put him up in a hotel. They fed him. They rode him around in a limo, and they brought him to the gym. They dressed him, got him the sneakers, got him everything. And they had our basketball team at Columbus State out there, and it was in the summer. And the guys that were there were, playing pickup games and doing workouts and stuff like that. So they got him out there, and so they got the kid out there to play with him. And Coach Carter was in there with all the guys, and he called them all over, and he said, "Now listen," he said, "this first little while," he said, "feed him the ball, let him shoot. He said, pump him up, be nice to him, just, treat him like he's one of the guys. And he said, then I'll come back and talk to you in a little while. So they got him out there and they played around. They went up and down the floor and they were shooting and he was shooting, and it was obvious, coach, he wasn't all that as a basketball player, but he was making a few shots, and they let him get his confidence up. And so then they took a break and they all got water, and Coach Carter called all the college guys together. He said, okay, now, he said, lock down on him. And he said, I don't want him to breathe.
There you go.
He said, take it away from him every chance you get, block every shot he puts up, make it difficult on him. And so, and so they did, and I mean, every time he tried to dribble, somebody took it away from him. Every pass he tried to throw, somebody stole it. Every shot he tried to take, somebody swatted it up in the bleachers. It was, and the bad part is they weren't really having to try to do that. They weren't being overly, it wasn't obvious that that's what they were trying to do. They were just playing defense. And they humbled that kid. And then Coach Carter sat down with he and his mom privately, and they had a long talk, just like, you said that you and Coach went in and sat it with that young man and had a chat with him. And I believe he left that gym that day and left that little few days in Columbus, Georgia, as a different young man, and realized that nobody's going to give you anything on a platter. You're not going to go play in the NBA. You can't even get out of high school. I think that may have changed his life after that. But it was a similar story. But I thought that I was able to watch that whole thing unfold and talk to Coach Carter on the sideline a little bit while he was, while they were out there playing, and that was pretty cool to be able to do that.
And that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to open their eyes, man, so they can realize that, you got to do what it takes to get there. But if you don't, I always tell kids, potential ain't about nothing if you don't do nothing with it. If you don't do nothing with potential, forget it.
I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you all this story. This was one from my coaching days, my very first coaching job. I had a young man. I was the head middle school football coach. And I had a young man he was in 8th grade, and he was gifted, Coach. I'm telling you, one of the best athletes, one of the best pure athletes I ever coached in my years of coaching. And I mean, he could score. He was a football player, but he's also a good basketball player. He was, he could do anything. He could run track. I mean, he was one of those that no matter what he went to do, he was good at it. And I had him in football, and I mean, he was a threat to score every time he touched the football. And so he was feeling it a little bit. And, that's about the time, if y'all remember, back in the early 90s, that's about the time the face shields came out to wear under football helmets, and you could get them polarized. You could make it dark and all of that. And he's like, he told me this story later on, and I vaguely remember parts of it, but I don't remember the whole day. He said, man, I was after my mom and daddy. I wanted one of those face shields. He said, those guys from Auburn had them, and those guys I watched on TV had them. He said, I wanted one of those face shields. And he said, they got me one. And he said, we got it put on my helmet. And he said, you may remember we had a game. And he said, I don't know if you remember this or not. He said, we had a game. And he said, I was walking around like I was all bad because I was the only player on the field that had a face shield. And he said, I was going around. I was it. He said, the only thing was I wasn't playing too well. I was worried about how I looked than how I was playing. And he said, Coach, you called timeout. Now he's telling me this 30 years later. He said, Coach, you called timeout. And he said, you brought me over. And he said, you took your fingers and you licked them. And he said, I don't know if you had something in your mouth or not. He said, but you licked them and you wiped them across my face shield. And he said, I couldn't see nothing. And he said, I went back out on the field and he said, I couldn't see. He's Coach, I couldn't see nothing. He said, I couldn't wipe it off. He said, I had to get him to take that thing off my helmet. And he said, he said, that one thing right there, he said, you told me then, he's like, I forget what I actually said. He told me I said to him, but I said, look, this ain't about you. It ain't about how you look. And he said, that
Right.
thing right there on your helmet's make it about you. And look at all these other people out here. I said, we need you to play as part of this team and quit worrying about what you looked at.
Exactly.
Look like. He said, Coach, we got over on the sideline. He said, I had to get that thing off my helmet. He said, I never wore one of those again as long as I played football.
Mm.
And he said, I don't even know if you remember that. And I'm like you, Coach, I'm getting a little age on me. I didn't remember that in the heat of the moment, but I remember it was something I might have done.
Right.
But for him to remember that 30 something years later, and still tells me about it. I still talk to him every now and then. He'll still bring that up. And it was just, and he learned a lesson then about being a teammate and being part of a team and what that means. And, that means a lot to me that he remembers that, even though I don't quite remember it.
Right.
But I remember he and I had a really good relationship, and he trusted me. He trusted what I said. And I had him in basketball, and but he went on to play. He played at Auburn and ended up playing played at Jacksonville State, and he played a little bit professionally, I think, in one of the arena leagues. And now he's just a good man. And I just saw a post from him yesterday. He's helped a kid get an opportunity to play at the next level, and that's what he does a lot. He'll take kids under his wing, and he does a lot of coaching on the side. He never worked as a coach, to get a degree and work in a school, but he does a lot of coaching on the side, does a lot of volunteer coaching, and he still helps a ton of kids because he's got so many contacts that he's made over the years.
Right.
He can help get them an opportunity to play somewhere. And, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of him.
That's
And that's just one of those things, that all three of us have people like that we can put our finger on and we can tell a little story about, and it's amazing when those kids believe in you and trust in you because you believe in them. You let them know right away that you believe in them.
I got this is really going to be freaked out, but I was at my house this past summer before last, maybe. Now, this kid didn't play anything. He was just a student of mine. But that kid, 30 some odd, I don't know how old is he now? I don't know how old he is. I don't know how old David is now, but anyway, my front door bell rung one day. And I went to the door. I said, "Who is it?" Because I have no little peephole. I got to give a peephole for my door because I like to know who I'm talking to or see it. But anyway, he said, "David." I wanted to say David who, but I said, no. I opened my door and I said, "Yes, sir. Can I help you?" He said, "I'm looking for," back in the day, they called me JoJo. So he said, "I'm looking for JoJo." No, he said, "I'm looking for Joe Johnson." I said, "You mean JoJo Johnson or just Joe Johnson?" He said, "No, I'm looking for Joe Johnson." I said, "Where you from, man?" He said, "Millersville, Georgia." I said, "Millersville, Georgia, and you at my front door in South Carolina?" I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Coach, you don't remember me, do you?" I said, "No, I sure don't, son." I said, "You need to refresh my memory." Joe, gentlemen, he went to tell me that when he was at Bada Junior High, and this is 6th through 8th grade, I think David might have been in 8th grade. And in our locker rooms, back then in the day, they had those lockers that was open up all the way down. You had one on top, one there, one there, one there. And he messed around and opened the top. He had the top lock. He opened the top lock, and the guy was standing up under it. And when he came up, he hit his head. When he hit his head, he jumped on David, and a couple of guys was jumping on him and beating him. And he said, "Coach," I said, "after that," say elbowing me and everything else, kicking me and everything. But I was calling for you and I was hollering for you. And I didn't see you nowhere, Coach. And I know if I'd have got to you, something would have been done. Guys. So he says, "Coach, I remember that because you would help anybody and you would have stopped it. I know you would have because I believe in you, coach. Man, I almost shed tears right then and there. This guy, he does pharmaceutical stuff. I think he'd make microscopes or something like that in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes through here going to DC. So somebody told him my address and he stopped by. And that's how I got on that. And I'm saying, man, what in the world? I said, Coach, I couldn't pass up. I said, I came too close. I've been coming through this way. And I said, this time I was going to stop. Man, that boy almost brought tears to my eyes. And we left. We were going to Florida that summer for vacation. And I told him, he said, yeah. He said, man, when you come, Coach, call me. Call me. I said, okay, David, I will. We get to Florida that summer. My wife and my sister-in-law, we had about 12 of us all together. So we down in Florida. So I called Dave. I said, Dave, he was flying back in from somewhere, and he was flying in Orlando, and that's where we were. So he says, look, call me, because I'm getting ready to land in Orlando, and then we'll get together for dinner. I said, okay, sure enough. So we got together at the end where we went out for dinner, and this place, barbecue place, they got a chain there in Georgia, the Real Place and all that kind of stuff. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, we went there. And I told David, I said, David, tell the story, please. He said, no, let's wait till later on. Let's wait. Let's eat first and then tell the story. So David commenced to tell the story. And everybody, and I'm about to boo-hoo over there, and everybody kind of saying, whoa, wow, really? So anyway, make a long story short, David gets up from the table, said he's going to be right back. So nobody thought about anything. So when he come back, he sat down. Then the waitress come to bring the ticket. David had done took care of the whole ticket for all of us.
Wow.
Took care of all of us. I said, David, you didn't have to do that. I said, Coach, no, I wanted to do that because you did so much for me when you was at Body Junior High. I said, my gosh. You know, some people you touch and you don't even know you touched them.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Man, that flew me, that Marty. You ain't seen a grown man cry, but well, I already was at the dinner table, man. My wife kept watching me. I said, my goodness. But I tell you what, those are the kind of things that make people think. And if they knew things like that would happen to them, not that you're looking for that. I don't look for pats on the back. You know, I tell them in a heartbeat, I'm not looking for a pat on the back because I do this because I love what I do. And that's what I was telling these people last night at this dinner. I said, I appreciate all of what you said about me. But, I do this because I love what I do. I love what I did. And even today, I love what I do. And when I start having Doug on tomorrow, I'm going to love it because that's what I love doing. That's my passion. The kids, my passion. Trying to get them to do the right thing in their life. And like I said, become productive citizens.
Yeah. Leon, God made you to be a coach. You were born to be what you are, what you've done all these years. And now, it's just ironic that you retired Friday and here you are on our show. It's almost like it's so fitting that we get to say this about you. But I think from this point on in your life, your advice from one of your best friends here is you need to do what you're doing right now. You need to talk to coaches. I think you're a voice that coaches would listen to. And you could tell, these are just a few stories. You got a million stories you could tell.
Yes, sir.
And you and I alone could talk the rest of this week about just stuff we did. Years we worked together. I just feel like you could make a difference in coaches' lives by being a mentor to coaches.
Right.
And my advice to you is don't miss a chance to do that.
Well, I do talk with a lot of the young coaches, coming through. you know, because we're in a tough region over here now, and as a matter of fact, we just got moved to another region which is tougher than the one we were in.
Mhm.
And these young guys, I try to let, because I got the boys coach over here. He's a little, I guess you want to say, you want to do things his way. It's got to be his way. And I'm saying, Coach, you remember now, you got to look at your athletes to see what kind of athletes you got. You can't always do what you want to do with the athletes you have because they may not fit what you're trying to do.
That's true.
Mhm.
You got to make adjustments. But also, here's one, like we talk about, not building relationships. And I try to tell them, I said, Coach, you need to get to know these kids, man. Know their life story. You know, visit. Let them know you care. And they'll walk through a wall for you. But
That's right.
if you continue to do what you're doing, and that's getting on them and no remorse, then what good is it? I mean, you know, you just beating your head against the wall because number one, they're not going to listen to you. And that's the problem you've been having. And I keep telling you, look, bro, you build a relationship with these kids. I mean, Coach, he had one of the best teams in the state this year, 3A. And got to the championship game, the game before the championship game, and played 7 ball players. Now, all year long, he's been playing all the kids. And get to that game and play 7 ball players. And one of his best ball players, he didn't play. And because he didn't have a relationship with the kid didn't want to play because he was kind of, I wouldn't say afraid, but, you know, it wasn't his time to get in the game. But if you had that relationship with that kid, you could have said, look, you got to suck it up, man. This is playoff time. You got to go. Get in the game and let's go. Do what you do. Good rebound.
That's right. It's knowing it, man. It's right here. It's coming from your heart.
Yes, sir. And if he'd have did that, I think we might have had a state championship here. And you know, and I don't bash coaches. That's not me. I don't bash coaches, but I just try to let them know up front that you need to have you need to build a relationship with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on and off the court, on and off the field,
or off court,
whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
You'll last longer, and you won't have so many headaches.
Right, and you'll make a difference.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. No doubt.
Coach, I want to thank you before we go off here. I'm glad our paths crossed in life, man. It's just been great.
Yes, sir.
and we want to have you back. We want to have you back. Now, hey, now that you're retired, you got a lot of time. You can come back.
Yes, sir, bro. I can hit the road. I can hit the road now. I can hit the road. And listen, you know, I wanted to mention this. I felt some kind of way when your son got in that accident and I could not be there. I told my wife, I said, we got to find a way to get back to Georgia to see Marty because Chip was in bad shape. And I felt so bad that I couldn't get there.
Well, you called me, and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, but, you know.
Yeah, I understood, and God spared him. And he's got a story to tell now.
Yes, sir. And I got that clip. Matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now. I got it up here in my office. I'm looking, because I was running across trying to clean up the place a little bit. And I was running across and I saw that article. I said, oh my goodness, look at this. And as a matter of fact, this is before we came on last time. And I saw that article. I said, look at this.
Well, God spared him, you know.
Well, you know, that's what he does.
That's right.
That's what he does.
Well, listen, we're running out of time. This has been such a good interview. We don't know when to stop, man. That's why we got to have you back, Coach.
It's been great.
But
And Marty, Coach has
we got
already.
one question to ask you. Always last, and here it comes.
Well, you know what, Marty? The last 5 or 10 minutes, he's probably answered everything I was going to ask him about right there, because he talked about what he does with young coaches and what he tells young coaches. So he's really already answered. Every guest we have, the last thing I ask, if you have a young guy coming to you that wants to be a coach or it's in coaching, and what are some things you would say to them that they need to do? But you've covered that, just in the conversation, because you just talked about a specific example where you're trying to help a young coach and what you're doing. So you've really kind of already answered that in what we do. And I just tell you, I'm going to echo what Marty says. I hadn't known you but a week now. The first time I ever talked to you was last week when we were trying to get that thing recorded.
Sure.
I said, and I've enjoyed hearing you talk and hearing you expound on your career. It's not often you meet somebody that stays in this profession for 43 years. And it is, I can't even imagine how many lives you've touched over 43 years.
Yes.
And it's that last story you told about David, not even one of your players, just somebody you had in class.
Yes, sir.
That means that God has used you and you were meant to be where you were meant to be.
Thank him every day for it too.
And that's amazing. And I'm like Marty, you keep doing what you're doing. You keep being a mentor to young guys that are wanting to go into coaches, or whether they're wanting to go into coaching or not. You keep doing what you're doing, being a mentor to young men and young women who are wanting to do it the right way, and keep teaching them to do it the right way. And you have been the epitome of the title of our podcast. You've stepped up and made a difference your entire career.
Thank you,
and
sir.
We appreciate that. And what we want to do is remind everybody, first of all, if you're watching this podcast, if it's the first time you've seen it, if it's the 50th time you've seen it, share it, tell people about it, send us feedback. We have social media pages. You can get in touch with us. All you got to do is look around a little bit. You can find us, share it around. If you've got guest ideas for us, send them to us. If you've got ideas for topics you want us to talk about, send them to us. But every week we're going to have somebody like Coach Johnson on with us, and we're going to talk about this profession, and we're going to talk about how to do it right and the best practices that you can put into play to build not only good athletes, but way more importantly, good young men and women who are going to be productive in society and be good husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, businessmen, whatever the case may be, that they're going to live their life the way they're supposed to because of the influence of men like Coach Johnson. And so be willing at any time, when the opportunity arises, and it will. It may arise tomorrow. It may arise tonight for some of you. Be willing to step up and make a difference. And that's what we talk about. Marty, have a great week. Coach Johnson, thank you again for joining us, and wish you the best in your retirement. I know you're not going to be fully retired. You're still going to be on a basketball court. You're still going to be on a weight somewhere. And that's you're just going to have a little bit more time to enjoy it now. And that's going to be awesome. But thank you for being with us. And I absolutely agree with Marty. We are definitely going to have you back on here.
Love you, Marty.
Love you too, Coach. You know that, man.
All right, man.
All right. Y'all have a great week. Love you too, Coach. Y'all have a great week. And thank you again for joining us on Step Up, Make a Difference. We'll see you next time.
Y'all have a blessed rest of the afternoon.